The 1920s were a time of unprecedented change in America. The world's first Great War was over, and people were itching to let loose. Let's see what it looked like, in color. Of course, the decade began on a sour note for many, as the 18th Amendment went into effect on January 17, 1920, making illegal the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors anywhere in the country. While this unfortunate law would remain in effect for the next 13 years, it failed to stop many from imbibing. The speakeasy was never too far away, and those who wanted a drink usually found a way to partake if they wanted. Throughout the decade, speakeasies and nightclubs became popular places for music, entertainment, and dancing. As manufacturers figured out how to produce cars more cheaply, automobiles became affordable enough for the average family to own one. Not only did mass car ownership make it quicker for people to get from point A to point B, but it also led to the paving of roads, the construction of bridges and tunnels, and to the sprouting of corner gas stations throughout cities and small towns alike. Of course, it took several decades for pavement to reach many rural areas, leading to scenes like this. Fortunately, help wasn't far off when it was needed. Meanwhile, cities had their own problems with cars as they struggled to get a handle on the new concepts of traffic management and safety. The 1920s was the first big decade for radio. Between 1923 and 1930, 60% of American households purchased radios, allowing families to listen to news, music, sports, and radio dramas, all from the comfort of their living rooms. Commercial air travel began to take off in the 1920s. For those who dared, they could purchase a ticket for one of 20 or so seats in an unpressurized, cold, and noisy cabin and fly to their destination quickly. Another option was to book a slower but more comfortable trip on an airship, an alternative that would become more common in the 1930s. For most travelers, however, railroads were the way to go, as the 1920s saw the rise of trains with luxurious features such as sleeping cars, fine dining, and comfortable lounges. Even subways and elevated trains for getting around locally were quite nice. The decade saw a building boom as more Americans left the farm and moved to the city. As people flocked to metropolitan areas, the face of retail began to change. The independent general store began to see increased competition from larger chains such as Woolworths and others, which expanded rapidly during this time. Massive department stores such as Macy's and Marshall Field's could be found in larger cities. Movie attendance soared in the 1920s. By the middle of the decade, 50 million people a week went to the movies. Following the introduction of sound in 1927, that number more than doubled. And as movies grew in popularity, Hollywood stars became household names. With more free time and the advent of affordable cars, the beach became a hot spot for leisure. Bathing suits became shorter, tans became fashionable, and the beach became synonymous with relaxation and fun. Everything continued to roar happily along until late in 1929 when suddenly